Sarah Pendrick is a returning guest on the show, and I had to have her come on for Female on Fire again because she is one of the most powerful women I know. She is a leader in the women empowerment space. She is an international speaker, an entrepreneur, a TV show host, and she really is an example of what it means to be a female on fire. She has created such a massive movement and community around her mission with GirlTalk. So she is the founder of GirlTalk Network, which is one of the largest and fastest growing online and offline communities for female empowerment and transformation around the world. So in this episode, we are going to be talking about everything that goes into creating a community and a movement around your mission and really what it takes to pursue your mission and create a thriving community around it. So without further ado, let's welcome back my amazing friend, Sarah Pendrick. All right, welcome back, Sarah. I am so excited to have you on the podcast again, and especially to have you be a part of this Female on Fire series. So thank you so much for giving of your time and energy to come on the show.
Of course, I'm so excited. When you said you were doing this series, I was like, yes, I'm a part of this, of course.
Yeah, and you know what I do actually at the beginning of every episode is I take a moment to share with you, my guest, why I chose you as one of the 11 females on fire. And so I'm just going to shower you for a hot second. So you're like, I'm ready to receive. So of course, number one, you're a total boss babe in every sense of the word. And you've really built such a powerful movement around your message, around your mission, in a powerful community of women who support and empower each other. And which is what I'm really excited to jam out with you about today during the episode. And secondly, I personally love this about you, Sarah, is you, even though like you're this boss, like you're really exercising those like masculine parts of you to create what you've created, you still do such a great job at maintaining those feminine, like the girliness, right? Like you're very girly and you have your pink and you like have these super adorable and like beautiful photos that you post on Instagram that are very feminine. So I feel like you do such a great job at balancing the yin and the yang and the masculine and the feminine and like still really maintaining that feminine essence. And thirdly, you have a king by your side who I have yet to meet.
I know.
But get to meet because we get to do a double date soon, right? We're overdue for that.
Yeah. And thank you so much for all of that acknowledgement. I'm receiving it. And I just want to preface, this, but everyone that's listening, we're like on the road entrepreneurs right now. So I'm in like a hotel lobby in Sedona. So things like someone might come out the door behind me. We just don't know, but this is a real behind the scenes right now.
Oh yeah. We were talking about this. I'm like, girl, this is the life that Gerard and I have been living. As you guys know, whoever watches my stories, I'm always bouncing around and like trying to figure out new spots to record things and take calls. And it's all part of transformation, girl. You're living it. You're rocking it.
I actually loved watching your stories when you when you guys were in Tulum. And you're like, okay, here's the real behind the scenes of where I am right now.
Oh yeah. And actually another little behind the scenes is I had a podcast episode and I had Amberly Lago on, and this is for the Female on Fire series. And we're like recording and my Wi-Fi just decides to have a fit and like just is going in and out, but she freaking owned it. And I was just like, listen, Amberly, if you just see me freeze, just keep giving value, just keep talking,? And so it's like, we have these moments and it's cool to share these raw, real moments. Even with Jenna, we both know Jenna Phillips Ballard. She was on and in the middle, she realized she had like a green thing stuck in her, her teeth, but she told me, she's like, you know what? Don't edit it out. Just keep it in. So like, it's cool because it's like, hey, building a business and building a brand and transformation is not always pretty and clean. It's actually quite the opposite. It can get messy and it's cool to kind of share those raw pieces of us. So thank you for making it happen today.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because it doesn't matter like how big your brand is or like how successful or anything, like you still have that behind the scenes, like
always.
And nothing's perfect. And one thing out of everything that's going on right now that I'm grateful for is that more people can see that, because I think it empowers more women to know that it's not perfect. And because I feel
Yep.
like a lot of people that I talk to have been holding themselves back, and women need to be leading with their message more than ever. But like that perfection can stand in your way, and you think, oh, but everything's so perfect and the ring light's on and like it's completely quiet, and it's not like that.
Mhm.
So I love that everything that's going on in the world right now, see what's happening behind me, is that you should still get out there and lead with your message, and nothing's perfect. And I feel like people even appreciate seeing the behind the scenes even more. And it literally just doesn't matter how big your brand is or how long you've had your business. That part just doesn't change. So
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And I love that kind of shift that's happening where more and more people are showing that,
mhm.
and realizing that people connect to that and that it's actually more inspiring most of the time than the polished stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to just dive in, and I really, to start off, since we are talking about, your mission and building a community and a movement around it, and you've done such a great job at this, would you share with the listeners who aren't familiar with Girl Talk your mission?
Yeah. So with Girl Talk, it's constantly evolving. And I love talking about this too, because in the beginning, I was like, oh, I need to know like my exact mission statement and like, what am I doing and all these things. But that's like more the masculine way of thinking and the way that we think that we need to build brands and missions. So I've just let it evolve. It started basically by me like being an entrepreneur and knowing the way that I felt alone, and knowing that there was other women out there like that, and that also at the same time I always knew that I wanted to give back to our next generations. So I basically just like married everything that I cared about. I'm like, hey, I want Girl Talk to be a place that we change the meaning of what Girl Talk is. It's not about like gossip and surface level. It's more of those deep and meaningful conversations and connections that really bring women into their highest self. So I wanted to create spaces, and I started with events where women could walk in the door and all of their armor and their fears could just disappear, and we could talk about all the things that stand in our way and hold us back, or that we're scared of, or every single person at some time has felt that maybe that they're not enough. And just to start having open conversations like that, and then also support each other in whatever it is that we want to do, whether it is building a business, whether it's building a brand, whether it's being a mom, whatever it is. I just wanted Girl Talk to be that safe place to go to,
Mhm.
be able to like take the mask off and feel safe. And it's evolved from there. And now I'm adding in spirituality and just like you said, like the balance of the masculine and feminine. But also I feel like there's a calling right now to really step into our feminine, and that's
Yep.
like where our power is. So it's really just a movement and a community that you get to learn to come as you are and practice stepping into your highest self. And then of course supporting each other and building businesses and being a badass female entrepreneur, female on fire, like along the way. And then
Yes.
yeah, and then I just have a piece of it that gives back to our next generation.
I love that. I love that. And it's so true that really deep down, every woman just is craving and yearning for a place where we can be supported and held, where we can really share and truly be heard and accepted, where we can like let out our crazy without the fear of being judged, and like really lay down our burdens and stop pretending to hold it all together,
Yeah.
and have that safe space, like knowing, hey, I don't have to do this all by myself. I can be honest about everything that's going on and how difficult it can be, and I can have a conversation with someone without someone trying to fix me.
Yeah.
I can That's the beautiful part of like being a woman and a friendship with another woman, because men, I'm just saying, they're not hairy women, they're fixers, they're
Yeah.
solution based, right? But
Yeah.
when we're sharing with women, like we can cry and be held and like simply just be our authentic selves and like admit our deepest darkest secrets and like face our shadows, and like just rest assured that we're not going to be trying to be fixed, we're just going to be heard, and we're going to be held and supported. And that's such a sacred thing that I feel like has been missing for
Yeah.
so long. So I love that this is your mission and what you're creating.
Yeah. And there's also something there that, cause with Josh, like I'll need to get something out. I'll need to get like some energy out. So I'm a positive person. Like I'm always looking for, why is this happening for me? All of those things, but there's energy that gets inside of us as women that could hold us back. And it's like, we just need to say the thing. Like if it's an irrational thought, or just really quick vent it out. And
Yep.
for so long, I realized like I would turn to Josh because he is my king, he is my partner, but he doesn't think that way. So he's like, all right, well, let's, like you said, like let's
Yeah.
not dwell on this. And I'm like, hold on. For women, most women, I find that we just need to get it out and then be like, oh,
Mhm.
that's actually not the truth. And we need a place where we're not judged for that. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
remember when you said this? I can't believe you said this. It's like, let's just get that energy out so we know what is true, what isn't, and then be able to like step into what, like the gifts that each woman has. We all have our unique gifts, but we also as a collective just are very, very powerful. And especially like now I feel the shift of women stepping into their power even more so and leading with their highest selves. And it's like,
Yeah.
leading with your highest self doesn't mean that you always have it together. It's like you get to get that energy out first and shift, and then do all the things that we all know how to do.
Yeah, because what we resist persists. So if we're just holding on to this stuck energy, it's going to affect us. It's toxic in our bodies, in our being. So yeah, absolutely. It's important. It's like there was this analogy of, holding a trash can, like throw up, like just throw up in the trash can, like just get it out, just purge it out, release it, get that emotion. Because let's face it, as women, we're very emotional creatures, and we feel into things, right? So like letting those feelings out and releasing them is a really crucial part of our process of evolving and moving forward.
Yeah, and so many times some of the things that we're feeling like aren't even ours. So if we keep stuffing it down and not like
Yeah.
putting into the trash can, like you said, like metaphorically speaking, it's like we're
Hmm.
holding all these things that aren't ours. And then we can't just like, we need to release that for our own mental, physical, like well-being on all levels.
Mm. I really love that. I think it's because, especially if you're listening and you're an empath, you can probably relate to that a lot. It's you've got to really, until you learn to really protect your energy and create those energetic boundaries, it's important that you have some form of release and, have that sister circle or that sisterhood or, group of women who you can just release to and feel safe about it. I also love doing like cord cutting meditations and releasing and energetic, like things like that. I'll actually drop one of my favorites in the show notes for you guys if you want to check out a couple of my favorite releasing meditations where you're cord cutting and where you're just like restoring your energy. So we'll put that in the show notes for you guys, because I think it's so important. It's so important and so overlooked.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like for everyone that's listening, because we're talking about community and mission and community building, it's like before I started Girl Talk, I had community, but I didn't have the community that I knew that my next level needed. So that's basically how I even started Girl Talk, is that I created what I wanted to have myself.
Yes. I
So
love
it's
that.
like
That's
anyone that's listening right now, like if there's something that you're feeling really called towards, like you have a platform. It doesn't matter. Like if you're a quote unquote influencer, you have a platform in your family and your community and your like friend group with your 50 followers that you have online, your 10, it doesn't matter. So just start like creating that platform and talking about the things that you want to talk about, and people are going to start being attracted to you.
I love that. So yeah, let's shift into that. So what are some of the first steps that you took, or that, you can share with the listeners right now in building their community and building that movement when they're just starting out?
So honestly, the first thing that I started doing was working on my mindset, because I kind of got to the point where I was like, I keep doing the same thing. I keep going to the same dinners that just aren't working. And there's nothing wrong with those people, like at all. It's just some of the relationships. There's not toxic people. There's just toxic relationships. Like there's nothing wrong with them, but it was just toxic to me and like what my soul was really calling for. So before I took any steps, what I really got to do was decide like, if I'm going to continue losing myself in friendships and relationships and like communities that aren't serving where my soul's calling for, like I'm going to make a choice. Am I going to keep losing myself, or am I going to do the scary thing and just like start answering the calls of my soul. And if I lose people, I lose people, because I'd rather lose others than lose myself. So it was like, I didn't have such a clear, like, I know this is a choice that I have to make in the beginning. So everyone that's listening, it's like, if you've been feeling a little bit unaligned, or you've been feeling for like a higher, more aligned community, I would say start really journaling that out first and making a decision for yourself, and just working on your mindset. Like, before I do anything at any stage, I'm always rechecking in, like, with where is my mindset, because it doesn't matter if you have all the tools. If
Yep.
if your mindset, you're not listening to your soul, like, you could take 3 steps forward and have a little success, and you're going to take 20 steps back. So
Mm-hmm.
for, like, first and foremost, I just like worked on my mindset and decided to make a decision. Like, I don't want to be miserable anymore. And there's nothing wrong with where I am. I just know that I'm going somewhere different.
Mm.
So I basically just got really clear on that. And then, and particularly for Girl Talk, and this is different, like the climate, everything was different back then. I went around and just, I had like 100 followers. I didn't have anything on social media yet. I just had like literally my own community that I built. And I went around and literally went door to door and was like, hey, I want to have this event where I bring women together. And do you want to get involved? And just networked. And now you can network, at any, like, more than ever, we can get on Zooms and DM people, and just, if you see someone that you align with, like, DM them, like DM 20 people. It doesn't matter if only one of them say yes and respond to you. Awesome. Like, that was your person for the moment.
It's really true. Like it's a numbers game. So Gary Vee is one of my mentors. He's been for like the last 5 years or so. And he is all like hammered that in me. He's like, Ashley, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. And like for every, 100 no's, you're going to get a yes. For
Yeah.
every 50 no's, you're going to get a yes. Like it's just part of the process. So I love that you said that. Like the reaching out for people, I feel like a lot of times that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
And
And
I love that you said that, because it's
yeah.
so important to have that mentality.
Yeah. And even honestly, and this won't happen, if not even one person said something back to you, look at it as an exercise for yourself to walk through fear. Like, what's really holding me back is telling people what I'm up to, or what I don't even know what I want to create. I just know it's something. It's like, use it as like an experiment or a practice for yourself. Like, hey, I'm just going to reach out to 20 people today just to show myself that I can do it, and walk through that fear. Like, it's really not that bad. I feel like when you're taking steps, the universe just naturally will reward you and start sending the right people and the right, like, downloads your way. Not the right, but the ones that are aligned for you.
So another thing that you said that I really want to emphasize is you said you would rather lose others than lose myself. That is so powerful. Like you just said it really quickly, but I was like, I have to go back to that, because when we're not staying true to our heart's calling and our mission, what we feel called to do, we are betraying ourselves. We are betraying our own inner calling. And so it's like, yes, when we follow our calling, not everyone's going to align to that. And that's okay. It's not going to be for everyone. And we weren't meant and put on this earth to be for everyone. Like, you know what I mean? So that's part of, what I teach when I talk about magnetic confidence and like being magnetic. It's like, you are a magnet, you're attracting your people and you're repelling those who aren't in vibrational alignment with you anyways.
And that's thing you want to be doing.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. So great. And I love also what you said about mindset. It's so important. And I'm so happy that this is becoming more prevalent. Like people are really realizing the importance of, we are our own worst enemy. We are our own blocker. Like we are the ones that are setting our limits. Like the reason you're not reaching out is because you have some thought about that's not serving you. You have some fear. The reason you're not doing XYZ, even though you know you want to or need to, is because there is some kind of thought or fear or something, a blocker that is holding you back from doing it. So when you invest in yourself and your self-growth, your mindset, your heart set, that's when you're able to be strong enough and convicted enough and have the tools in your toolbox so that when that stuff comes up, you know exactly what you get to do, and you're well prepped mentally and emotionally for those things. So I love that you said that was the number one thing
Yeah.
first and foremost to get started.
Yeah, because I think there was a time, and I did this where it's like, oh, I just want like all the business stuff, like entrepreneur, like I want to be this, I want to know all the business things, but it's like you can know all the business things, but if you're not doing the mindset things, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
So
So true.
yeah, it's like
So
people like,
true.
I want to be in the best business mastermind. And like those are all great, and do that and be putting
Yep.
your mindset like even more above that so that you can use your business, whatever program that you're in, to do like even better, like better than you could have possibly ever even imagined. And with the never losing myself, it's like I don't even know where I got to that point, because I think because of just how society is and like so many rules, and I had so many rules on me as I was younger, like I just didn't even think, like I just naturally like a people pleaser and didn't even realize that. It's like, oh, that's what we're supposed to do. Well, then why do I feel like I don't even know myself? And it's like literally like I would rather lose other people than lose myself. And the thing is, we forget, like we're so like we care so much about other people's needs, and we're so used to like making sure everyone else is okay, and like all the things that we do for others, we get to do those things for ourselves. Because think about your soul, whatever it is inside of you, if you keep saying no to it and you don't keep keeping your own promises, and you don't keep like showing up for that voice inside, like you're literally telling yourself like, I don't care about you, I don't
Mm,
care about your opinion, I'm not going to show up for you, you can't count on me. Like if you, the way, like if we did that same thing to other people, that's how they're going to feel, right? They're not going to feel held by us. We're doing that
yeah.
to ourselves every time we say yes to something that we don't want to do, and every time that we pick someone else over ourselves.
So powerful. Absolutely. And it's like we are, it's funny because when we want success in business, right? If you're a service-based professional, you're basically what you want is someone to see value in you,
Mhm.
right? But how can we expect other people to see value in us if we're not even seeing value in us?
Yeah.
And it us, we are source. Like it starts with us. So it's absolutely true. We get to treat ourselves like our own, we get to be our own best friend. We get to be our own biggest cheerleader. We get to be our own biggest advocate. Like we get to be our biggest support system. And that's where it starts, because you will always have you. People come and go, things happen in life, but you will always have you. You're that one consistent rock in
Your
your life.
longest relationship will be yourself.
Yes, exactly. So powerful.
Yeah. And
Okay.
really quick on that, it's like,
Yeah.
it's just so important that we're like saying yes to ourselves. And also the more that we do that, the more things are going to align. And I truly feel like you said, like especially if you're service based, you want people to see value in you. So when you're feeling like, and I felt like this before, and this is what I do when I'm feeling like this, when you're feeling like I want to be seen so bad, like I want, it's like the person that you actually are wanting to be seen by is yourself. So it's like, all
Mm.
right, let me shift and like let myself know that of course I have value, and get back to yourself and listening to yourself, because your soul, like that voice inside of you, yes, we want to be seen and understood by other people. We're human beings. That is natural. But like we really first want to be seen and understood by ourselves, from ourselves.
Absolutely. Because otherwise, there's always going to be this void there.
Yeah.
And no matter what kind of external validation you get. And when you're dependent on external validation and someone else seeing you a certain way or validating you a certain way, we're that much easier to be torn down. Like we're that much more susceptible to having those massive breakdowns, because we get to depend on that one true, forever, eternal source.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so true. And I remember when I used to be so affected by what people would say, like when I would get just any kind of a little bit of a nasty comment, and how much like I would dwell on it for days, weeks,
Hmm.
like sometimes months,
Yeah.
and it's because I wasn't certain in my own value. I wasn't certain in my and convicted in my own truth. I wasn't giving myself the love and acceptance that I so desperately craved.
Yes.
So if you get really affected, I think a good indicator of like, if this is you, is like, if those comments do affect you,
Yeah.
if they do affect you, it shows that, okay, I get to really love on myself more. I get to accept myself more, because when you do, you'll find out, like, you'll see, like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't affect you as much, right? Like, it doesn't.
And you could, like you said, like use it as an indicator, like, oh, wow, I'm really caring about what this person thinks. Like, okay, that means I need to give myself some love and I need to pay attention to myself. Like, awesome. Thank you for that. That comment sucks. And this is just an amazing sign. The gift that I get is like, whoa, I need to show up for myself.
Yes. There's this analogy, and maybe some of you listeners have probably heard me say this a million times, but there's got to be someone listening right now who has never heard this. So I'm going to say it. There's this blue frog analogy that I love to use. It's if someone came up to you and was like, Sarah, you're a blue frog, you'd be like, okay, like, have a great day, but like, and that's the thing, right? Because this is what's happening. People are calling you things, but you're like, you're not a blue frog. Like, you're certain in yourself, like, you're not a blue frog. So it doesn't affect you. So that's like I use this analogy all the time, is like, check in, because if it's affecting you, then you get to be more grounded in your truth. Because if it was your absolute certain truth, people saying the opposite of that wouldn't affect you. It wouldn't trigger you. You'd just be like if someone called you a blue frog, you'd just be like, huh, all right, that's funny. And like, go carry about your day. Like, that was weird. All right. Anyway.
Okay. But no, that's like another indicator. If you were like, you're a blue frog, and I'm like, oh, I am. Okay. Wow. I didn't know that. And then I'm like going around trying to figure out what blue frogs do. It's like, that's an indicator that I don't know myself. So are you not spending time with yourself? Are you not like listening to like your voice? We all have a voice. We all have a knowing. Women have a very strong intuition. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, on some level, every woman has some sort of like empath energy in them, and has a very like, our intuition is like our second brain. So it's like, if someone says something about you and you're like, that doesn't sound right, but I'm going to go with it because I haven't been paying attention to who I am. So that's another indicator, like, oh, hey, I need to get to know myself. I need to really get to know myself, like rediscover my values. Be like, hey, what have I been like loving lately? I haven't thought about this in a year. Like, I need to start thinking about myself right now. So I just
Yeah.
little before, I totally didn't understand them, and I would have been like, blue frog, okay, what is a blue frog? Like, but now it's like, oh, if I so easily am gonna say, oh yes, I'm that, because someone else said that, I get to like spend some time with myself.
Yeah. So true. That's really great. I love that. So, okay. So, steps into creating your community and like a movement around your mission, we talked about, which I think is awesome that we spent this much time around it too, because it is the most important thing, is really being super grounded in your mission, in your truth, and who you are, and doing that self-development, healing, mindset work that you get to do. And then you also talked about another key step is that reaching out and taking that initiative, and like, really, it's a numbers game. So then what would you say is the next steps in really building? Because I know you started from, like you said, you had 100 followers and now you've built this massive community. So what would you say is the next steps to that, or other core key steps?
Yeah, so it's really like getting creative. Like, stop looking at what everyone else, or being like, this person has like 100,000 in their community, this person has 1 million. It's like, know where you're at and just do it like step by step. Like, okay, what is it that I want to do? Do I just want to have 10 women on a Zoom? Do I want to have a Facebook group? Do I want to have a little event at my house? Do I want to get the community involved? Just kind of think like, what would be fun? I think that the reason that, because now then I've had, like, I know all the steps and I did it, but I've also, along my journey, when I've already had like the community and success, quote unquote, I've also completely like gotten in my head and done it on a masculine way, and it didn't work out. So it's like, I look back on the way I was doing it when I first started. I didn't have any attachment. I was like, I just want to create something that I would be interested in having, and I want to have fun with it, and I want to see who wants to get involved, and I'm not going to take it personal. Like, I literally had people, I've said this before, I had people say like, oh, I don't get it. What do you mean, like, women supporting each other? Now it's a viral hashtag. Like, I don't get what you mean. Or they were like, I don't need more friends. Like, literally before women supporting women went completely viral. Like, I'm like, all right, like, I don't understand how you don't get it, but that's okay. Like, so it's just the more fun that we can have in creating things, especially a mission and community, It's like, this is your mission. This is your community. There's no rules. The only one person that makes the rules is you. So you can literally from scratch create exactly what you want to have around you. And if you feel it, we are all connected. There is 10 women, a million women, however many women out there that are looking for that same exact thing.
Yep, absolutely. We live in abundance, like 7.5 billion people on this planet. So I love that when I think a key step of kind of what you were saying is like really having that clear vision, of what you're looking to create and what kind of experience, right? Experience that you're looking to create with these women, for you, for example, and really being clear on that so that you're communicating from that place, and people who feel that too will get excited and jump on board with you.
Yeah.
So did you have like that kind of vision played out in your mind of like what it kind of felt, what it would feel like once what you created was actually like came to fruition?
Yeah. So for like the third step is getting a clear vision. I was like, again, what platform do I love? Where do I like to spend time? And where do I like to connect with women? And I'm like, I love in person. I love events. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have an event. And then I'm like, I'm going to grow my platform on Instagram because I love Instagram. Some other people that are listening, maybe they're like, I want to have Facebook groups. It's like deciding what works for you and what like actually lights you up, because that's how you're going to stick with it. Like if you're like, oh, I really love Instagram, but everyone else that I know is doing this on Facebook, so I'm going to do it on Facebook. At some point, you're going to come up against like burnout and I don't want to do this anymore. So it's literally like decide what platform do I love being on myself and would be easy and where my people would be, and start building on that platform. And then if you're like, I want to have a little event, or I want to have a big event, or I want to create a virtual event, right? Like right now, it's just, I decided that I wanted to be in person with women. I wanted to be in a really beautiful space, and I wanted to grow on Instagram. So it was like, just make those decisions. You can always change it, but just decide, because once you make those like quick, like, this isn't that big of a deal, you can always move platforms. Like, let me not let my ego and my like fear make it harder than it is. So I
Yeah.
made those simple decisions. And then when I was there, I would literally visualize what it would feel like when a woman would walk into that room. So I do a lot of visualization. So I would sit and I would imagine literally like what the whole room looked like and what women would feel as they walked through the space. And that's all I did. I didn't put any pressure on it. I built it the way that I wanted it. And I will tell you that even now, like years later, or the day or the week of, or the day of my first event, and continued on, women say the exact words that I envisioned when I was doing my visualization.
Wow.
Have them feel.
Wow.
And I do that
See,
same thing with, yeah, the same thing with like, what do I want when people come to my page? And they do this, I get the same exact DMs, and that's like literally what I just put out there and visualized.
Power of visualization. I do this in the morning, not every morning, but like this morning I did it. For example, I was doing a visualization during my meditation, and my meditations look different every morning, but sometimes, actually oftentimes, it is a visualization.
Mhm.
And it's so powerful because also the other thing is the secret of feeling, like tapping into when you're visualizing it, allowing your body to experience the feeling,
Yeah.
which is what you got clear on, and which is why the women were saying those feeling words back to you, is because you got clear on what those feelings would be for
Yeah.
them.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that time, I don't know, it was like 2015. Like I didn't really know the work that I know now. So I didn't know what I was doing. So now I'm like, oh, like I even get deeper in those practices where, like you said, like if I'm desiring something, I will literally visualize it, and I'll start, like I do it with Josh. You could do this with your family too. I love it. Or friends. I will feel as if it's already happened, and I'll actually say it out loud and be like, can you believe that this happened? This is so exciting. And
Oh, I love that.
I've had this happen before where the thing happens 3 hours later. So it's just like knowing that we all have that power, and like, what do you have to lose? Just try it out. Like literally try it out. And there's just parts of you that open, like I didn't even realize like the power that I had of visualization. Like I hadn't learned that at that time. I was just like imagining it like, oh, I want them to walk in and like all their armor to fall off. And they literally said they walked through the doors and they literally felt all of this, like all their blocks and like resistance fall to the floor.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I love that. I'm going to challenge you listeners right now to do what Sarah just said, like get excited and like as if it has already, I've actually done that before.
So good.
In a container. It's so good. And and I forgot about it. So thank you for like bringing that back up in my awareness field right now. Cause I'm definitely that's something I want to create with Gerard. I'm already thinking like,
So
ooh,
fun.
yeah, like we can do it together. And that's why it's so great to be with people who support you, because there's going to be people who are going to be like, okay, you're straight up crazy. Like what? They're going to think it's ridiculous. But your tribe is going to support you in that. And they're going to be getting excited with you and they're going to be doing it with you. So I freaking love that. That's so good.
I know. I'm so excited. You guys are going to manifest and just have some crazy, amazing experiences doing that. And then for everyone that's listening that, if they don't feel comfortable with their partner or they don't have a partner yet, like this is such a great way. Like right now, like go enroll like a friend to join you in this because it's also really fun and powerful with girlfriends. Maybe you have a once a week call where you go on Zoom and you do it together, or it's even like people that have kids, like kids love that, like getting excited and like cheering. Like I just think you would be installing like so much magic and like love within your family if you do fun things like that together, and the kids aren't necessarily even going to care, like they're just going to be like, this is so fun, like so powerful. You can find anyone to do this with you. It doesn't have to be your partner, like, but it's going to be amazing for you and Jared. And I love doing it with Josh. Like we'll do it sometimes before we even go to bed.
Oh, I love that. I love also, sometimes I journal this out. The energy that you feed off of somebody else, like that's really powerful though. Also, you can journal about it. Like I've done it where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful and excited that this like, such and such happened. Like now this means that I can blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
So journaling too is also really great. And you can even do that prior to, and then when you like start expressing it, you're that much more just like, you've already sat with it with yourself and now you're sharing it with somebody else,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love that. Okay. So what would you say is, because I know we're nearing the episode here, if there is like another thing that you really feel called to share for those listeners who, really are like, they feel called to create a movement, they feel called to share their message, they feel called to really start pursuing their mission and cultivating community around it. Is there another thing that you really, really want to make sure that they understand or know as they do that?
Yeah. So another thing that I like about reaching out is because it's, if you reach out, there could be someone that wants to do this with you, and you can decide if you want to have a partner or not. But it could feel like less alone if you have someone that's like, hey, I wanted to do, like if you have a friend where you're like if I'm thinking of something that I want to create, I'm like, I know Ashley's really in line with that, like I wonder if she wants to do something together. Like just get curious and also ask someone if you have any fear around doing it yourself. Like see if someone that you're like, hey, I know this person, I know they really align with this, like I'm going to see, like, are they curious of what we could create together? I would just say right now, like, just know that you have a platform. Like every single person has a platform. It doesn't matter where it is, within your family, off social media, on social media, like you have a platform. So begin using it, like begin deepening your relationships around you and starting to test out, like speaking your own truth and test out, like, hey, like if I say yes to this or say no to this, like am I losing myself or am I losing someone else? Like who am I going to pick? So that you're building like those muscles. So then at the same time, while you're doing that, while you're working on your mindset, you could be like, all right, I'm just going to start small. I'm going to have a community on Facebook of 10 people, or I'm going to have something that I know right now people are really craving some in person, and it's safe in this area for me to do like 10 or 15 people. Or I'm going to create this online virtual event. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to imagine like the outcome, how people are going to feel, like not necessarily the outcome, just really focus on how you want people to feel, and you'll start creating from that space. But I think the biggest thing for everyone listening is that you're meant to have a mission. You're meant to have a movement, like each of us is. And it's not going to look the same as everyone else's. So you could either decide that you want it to be with 20 people and later expand to 20,000 people. Or you could be like, hey, I actually want 20,000 people and I want to keep growing. So what do I need to do now? And it's actually like, get out there and start speaking about the things that you care about and finding other people that feel the same.
Yeah, love that. And actually that was something that came to me too is, you get to get comfortable with sharing your story and your mission. And that's really important. So one of the, I actually wanted to share this because it came to me as you were sharing that, is I had a woman in my mastermind group who has a very powerful story that she has not shared, like she hadn't shared. And she was clear that she wanted to share it on social media, particularly Instagram. She was very nervous because she hadn't shared it before. When she finally got that courage during the mastermind to share her story, she was picked up by a magazine, got a center 2-page spread of her in a magazine. She was I think she got like 7 podcasts. I forget, like all, like she just started people reaching out to her. So you never know until you share your story how many people are going to resonate with it. Like truly, she didn't. And I remember like she was such a, when we finally got her pumped up to do it, she was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And she just like went and did it. And I was like, wait a second, I didn't coach you on like the hashtags and things, like the tools. But this is the thing, right, guys, is like, she did it and look at what happened. Like she didn't even, like we talk about, oh yeah, you can learn all the strategies and all the tools, but look what's the most powerful. What the most powerful thing was that she was following her truth. She was in alignment. She had the mindset. She did it. And it came from a place of pure, of pure service and pure truth. And it was magnetic
Yeah.
and it happened for her, So it's so powerful when you share your story and when you really start sharing your mission and your message. You never know who will see it and hear it, and it'll resonate and land, and what ripple effect it could create from there.
Well, yeah. And people just become more invested and they understand your movement and message more when you're sharing your story, because they're like, oh, like that's why this is so important to you. Or I didn't know that about you. That is actually one thing I will say I didn't do in the beginning because I was so scared of that. And that was a constant that people would ask me, like, we want to hear more about like why, and we want to hear more about you. And I'm like, well, why do you want to hear about me? I'm just creating these experiences for women. Like that's what, and it's like, no, like people want to connect to you, even brands. Like if you're a brand owner, like people don't necessarily associate with brands anymore like the way they used to. They want to know what's behind it and they want to know the story. So it's like I will say that I have come up against like people being like, but no one wants to know about me. And like everyone wants to know about you, especially if you're creating a movement and a mission.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like what I know, and by the way, you guys, I'm going to link Sarah's other episode because she's, like I said, she's come on before and she did talk about these, the place where she was experiencing pain around female friendships and, she had gotten bullied and all these things. So that was like a pain to purpose experience that she had. And so I'll link that episode if you do want to hear more about that, because we did kind of deep dive into that. Both of us had similar but different experiences with bullying and having like that, the mean girls and things like that happen in our lives. So I think and it's so cool because when we share that, we create so much connection, because I can't tell you, like when I've really started sharing my story, how many messages I got of like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that happened to you, but that's exactly where I'm at, or that's what I went through. And it just creates so much connection and has you be that much more magnetic, because people are actually connecting with you as a human.
Yeah.
We're human. After all, we connect with humans. It's like, yeah, what you said, we don't connect to brands. We're connecting to the story because that's what makes it human.
Yeah. And for you, like you were talking about us having experiences of bullying, that also was something that held me back a lot from sharing my story. And I can imagine everyone listening, if they have any resistance, they're like, oh, but my family's not going to like this, or they have resistance of sharing their story, or maybe even what they really want to talk about because they're scared of judgment. And so it's like, again, that's choosing you or choosing them, because you do have some, if you're feeling it, you have a message that really, 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 really gets to be shared and and you're feeling that way inside because it's meant to be shared. So again, it's like, if anything, ask yourself the question, like, am I going to lose myself, or am I going to lose others? And many times you lose a few people that like you kind of already knew were like your guys' contracts were done, so that you can call in people that are ready for this next level and encourage you to completely share everything. And they want to hear your story and they want to support you. So it's like, always pick yourself and be brave and share your story, share your message, and just know that like it is meant to be out there.
So powerful. And I really hope you heard that, those of you listening. And I'm excited for you to implement, all that all that Sarah and I have shared with you. This has been such a great episode. So I have another final question that I want to ask you, Sarah, which is what I ask every woman who is part of this series. So my question is, what is something that you used to hide or dim or mute about yourself that you have since reactivated and reignited during this transformational journey that you've been on to becoming the female on fire that you are today?
I love that question. So I have like a fiery, sassy side, and I would hide it a lot because, again, I would be like, oh, that's going to be too much for people, or people aren't going to like what I have to say, or they're going to get offended. That was a story that I learned from childhood and a story that I kept holding on to. So I would literally like hide my fun, like sassy, direct self because I thought I was protecting myself. But actually right now I'm realizing like how much I lose myself when I don't let that out, and how much it's like literally like sometimes my throat hurts because it's like it wants to be out, it wants to be free. So it might sound simple to some people might resonate, but I'm like, I just like get to not give a, I don't know, can we cuss on here?
Yeah, go ahead. A flying.
No, but honestly, like not care and just like say it and like have fun. And I get to be free and not care like who doesn't like it on the other end.
Yes. Not give a flying hoot.
Yes.
Just be you. Yes. Doesn't it feel so good?
It does. It does.
It's like the most freeing effing feeling is when you finally express those parts of you. Like people appreciate, I'm telling you, and people know like there's public figures out there that are known for their sassiness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and it's cool because it's like you just appreciate, like even, we talked about Gary Vee earlier, like he has this very direct, like he interrupts people, like, you know what I mean? He's always interrupting people on his stuff, but it's like, he's just so like, he's so accepted that that's just like who he is, and he owns it and he runs with it. And so people respect him for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's like, so like, even I've actually seen people where they're like taken aback by it. And I've been like, that's funny. Like, that was fun. It's like all about having fun, like stepping into life and having fun and like letting yourself be free.
And I love that we're ending here, because that's one of the core pieces of being a female on fire is being fully expressed. Fully expressed. That's why I asked that question, because so many of us, all of us at one point in our life had dimmed a part of us, had muted. I know for me, I'm like a freaking goofy, like I'm just super goofy. Okay. Like I get really weird. Like when I say weird, I mean like really weird. And so like people be like, what's wrong with you? And so, but that's something that I really stuffed down for a while, and I wouldn't let myself bring out unless it was like, with my family, because I had gotten rejected because of that. I can't tell you like how cool it is. And especially like with Gerard, it's so nice because I'm just able to be just the goofiest goofball, and he's goofy back with me. And like, and you know what, that's the thing too, listening, if anyone listening is single and wanting to attract their dream partner, the more true you are to yourself and being fully expressed, you will attract a partner who literally is like your biggest cheerleader in that. Like they love that about you. Gerard, that's his favorite quality about me. Above everything else, he said his favorite quality is my goofiness.
Yeah.
And I used to think that was the worst thing about me. So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that's how Josh feels about when I'm like sassy. He'll like laugh.
And question, I'm curious. I don't think I've ever asked you, how long have you two been together?
So we met in 2011 and then we got married in 2014. But we even do like the own math on it. I'm like, I thought we've been married for 8 years. We're like, no, it's only been 6 years. we just celebrated our 6th year anniversary, I think. Yeah.
Wow. Congrats. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I love it. Well, I'm excited to meet him someday.
Yes, I know. It would be an epic double date with the four of us.
Yeah. And I just love how much you can see how much he supports you and adores you. And it's really cool. I like when you post like your date nights and things like that. It's cool to kind of see that behind the scenes, you know?
When we do that, like we really ignite other people around us to be able to be fully expressed. So I think as women, like if we can all start giving each other that permission, and you're going to get a little resistance, and the only resistance is really, it's not about you, it's about them, because they're like, whoa, how can she like
Yeah.
get that out? But if we all just start like making that a priority, we're going to be so much freer, and we're also going to support other women in doing the same.
100%. 100%. Well, Sarah, thank you so much. This has been so fun jamming out with you as always. And I will put, I know my team knows all the links because we have it from last time. So I will put everything that we have. Is there anything else that I don't know if you've released anything recently that we can put in the show notes for the listeners who want to come follow and see what you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, just come follow me on Instagram, and then look out for my book. It is going to be coming out in the spring. I'm so excited. I'm about to announce the title next week, so I'm just really excited.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So that means by the time you're listening to this, you guys, she's released the title. So go check her out.
So I'll give you that.
Yay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. It's been so much fun. I really, really appreciate you taking the time and your travels in Sedona and making it happen. I just love it. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so fun.